Hello, this is John Reed, SuccessConnect 2015. I'm with James Sinclair, the ubiquitous James Sinclair of Enterprise Jungle. How's it going?
I'm doing good, thanks, John.
You and I are here to talk about a topic that's near and dear to both of us, which is the role of platforms, cloud platforms, and as a sort of competitive advantage, I guess you could say. We have commandeered a deserted room in the basement of the convention center, which is something I always like to do. Well, hopefully won't get kicked out. But what I really want to talk about in the SuccessFactors context is the HANA Cloud Platform. You and I both feel that this could be a major competitive advantage for SuccessFactors, but I think it's fair to say that there needs to be a lot more momentum behind it than I've seen this year. That's my opinion. But what I want to get from you is, first of all, just to step back a little bit, SuccessFactors does have some internal extensibility, which has been known as the metadata framework that allows some customization. Dilemma around SaaS, of course, is that a customer is kind of forced into a lot of standardization a lot of times. Some of that is very healthy, but then there's the question of I have a differentiating process or need, and I can't configure the solution to do it. So then you look at some extensibility options. It seems to me that HANA Cloud Platform offers something that you can't get from other forms of extensibility. Do you agree? And if so, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree across the board. That's why we joined the SAP kind of ecosystem. That's the market opportunity. We saw these last mile white space solutions on SAP cloud products. And while we're focusing on SuccessFactors, the view was always, wow, if you can extend all of SAP's cloud portfolio using HCP, you can build once and distribute on multiple platforms, and you can scale under a SaaS model. What it's really doing is delivering a very simple and simple and easy in the enterprise context way to deliver these last mile applications to customers in scale. And so to us, that's a no-brainer opportunity as a startup of where do you want to put your chips? Do you want to put them on the company that can take you all the way there? Or do you want to be in the open source kind of freedom movement and fighting to look for a customer?
Right. And what I fail to understand is why there aren't more firms like you out there building these apps, but we'll get back to that. What I want to cover first is you started via some of the HANA startup program stuff, and you had built the Enterprise Jungle application. That's how you and I first met. Right. But what I think is really interesting is that now you've built a number of smaller apps via the HANA Cloud Platform, but those were really the result of intense customer conversations. Tell us about that.
Yes, there's always a view that you know what the customer wants, and you build a product that you are sure the customer is going to buy, and then the customer says, I don't want to buy that. And they tell you what they do want to buy, and they tell you what they are looking at. And so when we started on this journey, we were really trying to build out an application that used the whole scope of the SAP suite. Number one, great demoware. Number two, could show customers the full extent of true extensibility. And it turns out customers are not ready for that, not because they're not ready in their business transformation process, but because you've got HCP, you've got extensibility, you've got MDF. What does it all mean? And so they're on the beginning of this journey. And so what we did is we stepped back and said, well, what can we do to deliver to customers very simple requirements that they're looking for? Alumni, conflict of interest manager, bulk management of something. It's what are the workflows that you need that you feel is a gap or an extensibility opportunity in SuccessFactors? You've got 75 unique back office applications that you are scared to move to SuccessFactors because you don't know what you're going to do with those things. What are you doing in Excel? Right. And those are the ones where the customers totally resonate and totally get it. And from an HCP platform, suddenly it becomes this very simple conversation. Well, of course you need cloud infrastructure. So HCP becomes this enablement platform of when the customer says, great, where does it live? HCP with the rest of your data.
Right. And what you and I have been talking about is how we really don't even need to talk about the HANA Cloud Platform with customers. What we need to talk about is I can build you a kick-ass app, really quick, that will solve a key problem that you can't get by configuring your solution.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's the point about HCP. It enables innovation, enables kind of, this opportunity for the sales executive to listen to the customer, hear an opportunity, and then what we can do is we can develop these prototypes in under a week that kind of meet the customer's needs. Right. The customer sees this and is really now focused on, oh, I didn't realize this is what we meant. I heard about MDF, I heard about a custom field, but this is a custom application using my SuccessFactors, framework, links to my on-prem, links to my third-party applications, linked to everything, available on mobile. There really is no other platform on the marketplace that can compete to SuccessFactors when it comes to that. So extensibility is really this not only core differentiator, it's this core opportunity, because all of these apps are going to have markets for more than one customer.
Right. So give us an example or two, because you've told me about some pretty quick turnarounds where a customer will express a problem and then within a couple of days you have like a demo ready. Give us an example of like a certain function a customer might have needed.
Yeah, so I think the most recent one that came in was conflict of interest management. A company in Singapore wanted to be able to manage the annual requirement that all employees have to fill out this 20-question form, but also have an ability to file an ad hoc conflict of interest statement.
And they couldn't do that within SuccessFactors.
No, they couldn't do that within SuccessFactors. Yeah. They were currently using Excel and Word, of course.
Oh, good times.
And really a Google form, I think, somewhere it was in there. But the reality is SuccessFactors is the perfect place for that to be. Employee data, you can auto-complete everything. You can attach it to the employee profile. You can create a framework for administration of that. It's such a kind of perfect place. So we developed that prototype in, I think 4 days. And the customer and the sales rep both got to have their oh shit moment. And I think that's really important when suddenly the customer and the sales suddenly say, I get it. I get extensibility. Forget the technical aspects. It's about the enablement. What does it let me do? The outcome, as Mike Etling kind of talks.
Right. And how long did it take you to turn that around once you found out what the customer wanted?
3 days. Fully working prototype. And that's, reflective on the fact that we're a small company and we're going to compete harder, faster, and better.
Sure.
And also because it doesn't take longer than that.
Right.
And so we've got a dedicated team that just focus on prototypes. And if we can enable the field and enable customers to see value in this, well, that's our route to market. That's our strategy or marketing strategy.
And one of the things I've been talking with you about is it's one thing to say you listen to customers, and I think listening to customers' pain points is always important, but to be able to then come back in a matter of simply days and say, I listened to your pain points and I constructed a solution that addresses them, that must really open some eyes.
Yeah, and we fight for two things. Number one is, we should be able to build anything you ask for within context, obviously, within the 30 to 45 day period. Now, I'm not talking about our alumni module that's massive and is taking, a few months, but I'm talking about these smaller modules. It doesn't need to take A, as long. And B, if you take a small team that's a fast team and a very well qualified team, you can really create results very, very quickly. And I think when the customer sees that, they can be part of that process. This isn't we're going to deliver to you and you're just going to kind of ship it off to us to outsource to build this conflict of interest. You're going to be part of this process. Right. So when they see a great team working on it that's really thinking through it, they're able to be motivated to be part of that conversation as well.
And in terms of a benefit, they got functionality they couldn't have gotten within the software. But then is that going to also be easy to maintain? So as SuccessFactors gets updated, the app still works?
Yeah, so we're doing under a subscription model. So not only does the app still work as SuccessFactors gets updated, but also more importantly, because we're hoping to get more customers for each product that we build, we're going to hopefully build on that innovation and build on that mobility side and build on other features that people want in the administration. And so for each customer, we're able to really say, you're buying a subscription, not buying a product. You're buying a subscription to this kind of journey that we're going on. And when we need stuff and when we need to update stuff, we're happy to do that. And we want to do that. We want to give you the best possible product.
Right. Now, in terms of a differentiator for SuccessFactors, what are your observations in terms of, as sales executives realize, it's not so much like selling HANA Cloud Platform, it's I can sell these apps as a differentiator to help me sell SuccessFactors. Are you starting to see that that's happening?
Yeah, I think you're seeing that happen, and it happens very rapidly because you can come back and say, great, what is the competition offering in this space? What is their comeback to your conflict of interest opportunity or one of the other 50 items in your RFP that are so critical? And so for the account executives, you're absolutely seeing this rapid ability to say, here's the difference. Here's how you're future-proofing your solution. Here's how you're meeting your future needs. But more importantly, here's how you're addressing some of the legacy issues that you're trying to work out. Here's a second chance to do it right now. It's, you've had a Google form and an Excel spreadsheet for a rather long time. How would you do this in a perfect environment? So you get to open up that conversation about true business transformation.
Right. Are there any other benefits of HCP and apps that you want to get out there before we move on to discussion of what needs to be done?
Yeah, I think it's a very simple process that, of course, the customer wants to know where the platform's going to be, but of course, you're going to put it in the same data center that their SuccessFactors data is going to be. You're going to build it on HCP because it's a very robust and very good platform, and you've got a team behind it building it that are transparent and delivering day on day, and they want to get to this one-click deployment model where a SuccessFactors customer can go to their app store, find an app that meets their region, line of business, industry, and say, get it. And it will automatically do everything it's got to do in provision. And I know there's some storefront issues, but that's the ultimate goal of HCP and the SuccessFactors, and it's going to be fantastic when it gets there.
All right, very good. So we're going to shift gears here, folks, and I'm going to wrap this session up. So thanks, James, for that discussion. Now, for those of you that are still with us, what I want to do is to dig into some of the challenges that SAP needs to overcome to really succeed in getting to this vision that we've been talking about. So if you just heard the shorter version of this podcast, then we're going to continue on here and maybe dig into some of the things that need to get done so that next year at SuccessFactors, there's not just one James, there's 10 or 20. I mean, I don't want to scare you too much. See your own reflection. All right. So I'm rejoined by James Sinclair. We're talking about the HANA Cloud Platform and the power of extending a cloud solution like SuccessFactors with add-on applications. And you've made the point that this could really, as a differentiator, this could now be really extended to all areas of SAP where cloud solutions are in play. So it's not limited to SuccessFactors, but we are at SuccessConnect, so
seems appropriate.
This is a good case study. The problem I have, James, I'm trying to think of how to express this without sounding too critical, but I just wish that the HANA Cloud Platform was more visible in terms of how SuccessFactors presented their differentiators on the keynote stage. I just didn't hear hardly anything about it there. Now, I will say that at Sapphire, we did hear some about it. So folks like Steve Lucas have really positioned this from a keynote messaging perspective. But of course, messaging is less important than actually getting the job done. So what does SuccessFactors and SAP need to do in order to reach the point where, you're talking about the 11 or so apps you built, where we get to the point where there's hundreds of these apps and many partners that can help fill this gap?
Right. I think there's kind of two sections. One is I want more partners in there. Yes, I'm delighted to be the only one at the moment, but I'm a staunch evangelist for HCP.
Right.
And the reason I talk about it a lot is because I want people to join me, because you can't have a union of one. And
wait, you're not the only one. Accenture has an app, dude.
Yes, sorry.
Come on.
Union of two.
Yeah.
There's
you and Accenture. No,
there are.
To be fair, there are a few.
Yeah, and
but we're not talking about a handful, though. This is only going to work if there's a much more significant
real scale.
Exactly.
And so that's why I talk about it. That's why I talk about it specifically under the context of startups that are people that are not potentially always lived within the SAP ecosystem, but have an idea for enterprise last mile solutions or white space solutions, or have an existing solution that isn't integrated to SAP. This is their opportunity to say, well, one second, why wouldn't I take this route to market? Now, at the same time, yes, tremendous challenges because, again, we don't have hundreds of us, and because there's a learning process and a positioning process and a platform process that we're going through, and a massive transformation at SAP that we're going through. I mean, Mike Ettling in his partner keynote basically said the reason for SuccessFactors install failures is primarily, on-prem or poor mindset people doing those deployments. Well, That exists also in the company, and that exists in every company that you have, legacy or heritage that haven't quite moved up to it. And so now you have SuccessFactors kind of enabling and being one of the main reasons for change at SAP. SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, they're the ones who are forcing this change because they're coming in and saying, this is the cloud, this is how it's working, this is the future, it's happening, our revenues prove it's happening, so everyone else needs to get behind it.
Right.
I mean, that's my view.
Right. So part of it is evangelizing, so to speak, to savvy application development firms that could really fit in well in the ecosystem and build out the apps. Another part of it, it seems to me, is Salesforce awareness. In other words, the salespeople who are selling these solutions don't always realize that there's someone out there like yourself that either has an app in the App Store that could help sell the solution to a client, or could even, like you said in our discussion, quickly build a prototype that might really blow the client away. So there's this sales education part, right?
And we get that. I mean, we've had it all day here as well, is you speak to a sales guy or girl and you show the solutions and they're immediately like, oh, again, the oh shit moment, which is a really appropriate term because that's exactly what it is. It's when they say, oh, and they get their colleague over and they say, this customer here that was trying to do this one thing with this customer, why wouldn't we just use this? It's, I had it again and again and again. It was one of my, I think I tweeted it yesterday that basically I'm meeting analysts, press, customers, and sales reps, and I'm showing them this for the first time. And so, yes, I would like more ACP at SuccessConnect, and I'd like more stuff to be happening, but there's no scenario where SuccessFactors can ever achieve everything I want. I'm a startup, so I want a limited budget. I've got limited time, so I want everything yesterday.
Right.
And I expect the world. So it's a totally unfair and unrealistic expectation.
And there's another problem, which is that while a lot of these apps are still purchased in the context of a traditional sales process, over time, I think there is going to be a need and a desire to purchase more of these types of things online, especially as plug and play with some of these solutions gets easier. SAP has some significant challenges online right now with their storefronts. And part of that is even now, even if someone ultimately buys from you, it is very important that the stores are easy to use and kick tires on for demo purposes, even if they're not purchasing online.
Absolutely.
It still becomes a very important part of discovery, finding these solutions, kicking tires on them right now. And I don't want to go into the whole thing, but SAP's got a proliferation of storefronts that's very confusing. There were questions about that yesterday during the HCP session. SAP's had a lot of time to clean up their storefronts, so I don't know what the delay is on that, but there's more work to do there. The HANA Cloud Platform pricing story that just went up, Dennis Howlett just wrote a piece on that. That seemed like a wildly premature launch of something that just wasn't quite ready yet. I know SAP's trying to work on that, but James, if this vision's going to work, SAP needs to not only design a great storefront, which I think they know how to do, but integrate it easily so that companies and prospects know this is the one location I need to go to look at this stuff.
I think that's the one thing that you absolutely nail. I think people look at an app store when they know there's an answer there. I know when I go to my iPhone or my Android app store that whatever I'm looking for, someone somewhere, I may be the second download, but someone's built it. And I think when the SAP app store, the SAP store can get to that point where customers know that the item they're looking for is likely in there, that's when you're going to see real traction on there. But yeah, there's a lot of stores, different back ends, some migrations happening. We are just moving along with that tidal wave, but totally agree. I think there needs to be some kind of centralization, but I also think there needs to be a little bit of governance. I think one of the things, the interesting areas of SAP for us is that it's quite siloed and there's no real cross, not sure quite what to call it, people that just sit on top of it and across all these different areas that are able to just effectuate and say yes. Right. And it's always got to go to that person here or this person there, and it's a large company.
And just for example, like sapstore.com, store.sap.com, two different stores, similar URLs. Customers asked about that yesterday. There's the HANA Cloud Platform App Store. There's the HANA Startup Store. You're in all those stores, which is
create a new store.
Yeah. There's and so I mean, great in terms of you're in all those stores, but I think from an ease of use perspective, there needs to be a lot of consolidation.
Well, I think not great because I've got administration to do, I've got tracking to do, I've got management to do. As a startup, we change our pitch every 6 minutes, so I need to update text everywhere. So for us, it makes total sense. It'd be one system. You can have 19 stores. As long as I only have one place to interface and change my data, manage my data, and I think that's the other thing. Sometimes there's data I find in places at SAP that I don't even know how it got there, and I don't even know where to go to change it. But again, it's coming.
Well, and you are getting traffic, which is interesting. Yeah. So you get hundreds of visitors to some of these storefronts a month, and we don't need to
click into. Mainly technical at the moment, mainly on the technical side, people who have maybe heard about us through you or through someone else who want to learn a bit more, and they're searching through the SAP store versus Google, and that's how they're coming to us. So we're doing a lot of technical demonstrations, architecture conversations, and that's great, and we're totally happy with that.
The other area of confusion in the HANA Cloud Platform session I attended yesterday was simply around the naming, right? Because there's so many HANA-related names and products in the SAP product line. And HANA Cloud Platform, I think, is particularly problematic in certain ways because customers often think, well, I need to have this super expensive HANA license to take advantage of these applications.
Right.
Which is not necessarily the case. in a variety of ways. It might be much simpler than that, even if you consume something off of the HCP.
I think the conversation around that and the naming and a little bit of the complexity around it and kind of SAP learning what sells, what doesn't, they're in a new space as well, has created, yes, some definite confusion in the marketplace, but not confusion that is unmanageable, just confusion that the people aren't exploring.
Yeah.
So I think, one of the things we're trying to do with our prototypes is say, you can get HCP, HANA Cloud Platform, and it's surprising how many people you talk about HCP to and they say, what's HCP? What does that stand for? And it happens a lot. And it's a scary thought for me, obviously, as a startup, and this is my market. But I think the other thing is for customers, we tell them you can start with a very basic package. Right. The most basic package that has business logic, has all the things you need. It just doesn't have deep intelligence on HANA. And you can start with that package at a comparable price that's totally fair, that it gives you the security, the compliance, all the stuff you need. Customers are happy to pay for that.
What would be that price?
I think it's about €900.
Right.
And when you tell customers, right, here's your conflict of interest manager, and you're going to have to pay about €900 for this app, and for HCP. This is what it brings you. This is the ease of use. This is why it makes sense. There might be some value proposition that, maybe I need to have 2 apps to make it totally worthwhile, but €900 a month is signable. And I think that's
plus the app on top of that.
Plus the app, but our subscription is very fair, very reasonable, very in line with the market.
And you could, in theory, have several apps and blah,
I think that basic one is for 3 apps, I think, and I'm not exactly sure the details. But, essentially you go to a customer and say, look, hopefully you're going to have 2, and then it's going to all make sense, maybe 3. But the point is just get the customer started on this concept, to dreaming a little, to realizing they can meet their goals, to realizing they can design and build and use SuccessFactors as their core platform, which is what they should be doing. Anything that's got anything to do with an employee should be using the SuccessFactors framework, period. And I really believe that, especially as it's to do with the HR side and so forth.
Well, and the other thing, James, is I'm not sure that SAP has as difficult a naming problem as one might think, because what we discussed before, I don't really think SAP has to push the HANA Cloud Platform as a brand as much as they need to push this idea of a platform where you can easily build cloud apps. Right. We know of other companies that have pulled this off and created these robust ecosystems, and I think that could be a real edge for SAP, where you talk not so much about the HANA Cloud Platform, where you talk about, hey, how would you like to extend your SaaS application in a way that
platform is, the thing about platform is platform's a business unto itself, and I think people forget about that. It's you got some competitors, the company, and you got the competitors' platform, the company.
Yep.
And they are their own ecosystem. They require insane management, insane organization, insane babysitting.
Right.
All of those things. A platform it isn't just is. It requires total dedication of a team. And look, at the end of the day, the customers that we are delivering to currently are big customers, and they're enjoying it, and this is going to work for us, because now every customer we go into, we get another case study, another testimonial, another proof point of really how wide and how diverse people can decide to build. All the way from an Outlook plugin to an alumni module. So it's such a good range for us that we love each one. We get a bit more skills, we get a little bit more understanding, we work with the HCP team. That's the one area that I think, look, I've got criticism, but my criticism is because I want to hurry up and get there. My criticism isn't because of the people in any way. And I think the one thing that really I do like is the transparency that we get from the product management team on SuccessFactors, on HCP side. So on a technical level, I feel like I have total understanding of where I stand, the white spaces that exist. I don't build if it's in the product roadmap. I don't find myself isolated. So on a technical standpoint, I think that's the one area that I didn't expect out of SAP, and you wouldn't expect out of a large company, is to have that kind of roadmap that they're willing to share and willing to build into, and willing to look at you and say, what do you need? What can we do to make this better for you? So I feel like we are early, but we're also setting the path of for the others to follow, that will make it easier for the next person that comes after us, and that's a good thing.
Right, and I think that's a good note to end on. Let's just wrap very quickly with what do you think in terms of, if you show up next year, what would be a best case scenario for what you would see at the show next year with?
Look, I think HCP is such a major differentiator that when I don't see it getting major action on the floor in the keynote, it disappoints me, because then I speak to you and I speak to some of the other people that we're friends with, and they're like, wow, this is great. Why is this not front and center? And everyone says that. Why is it not front and center? Even from the sales reps. Whatever the reason is, I get it. But by next year, it must be front and center as a differentiator. Look, the core is always going to be your actual front and center. What does it do that's so fantastic? But it's, what does it do in addition, above and beyond? Hopefully that could be somewhere, front and center-ish. Be nice if I'm invited.
Well, all I got to say to SAP is if you heard this stuff from James, hey, you created this monster. You supported this guy and empowered him to do this, and now he's carrying the flag, and hopefully more people pick it up because, to me, this has a lot of opportunity. So we'll find out.
They did create this monster.
They did. They did.
It's a good monster, no? I'm an evangelist.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Ish.
Yeah, where are you going to send your invoice?
To you.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. Anyhow, thanks for joining me. Take care.
Thanks, buddy.